was Barbara Nispin, performing on Lewis University's new Steinway Model D that is part of the LUCE All Steinway campaign in the music department. Dr. Sint and I we enjoyed the weekend seeing Barbara play. It was a part of Bob and Tom's 75th birthday party together. I think 100, 150 people were enjoying the performance. Yeah. Chris, you were there.
It was incredible.
It was really quite amazing from my point of view. It's a part of the Arts and Ideas events visit. A great part of, I think, being a liberal arts college is having these Arts and Ideas possibility for students and others to join in. So this is Conversations from Stritch. I want to welcome everybody. I'm here with Dr. Christopher Sint, our provost. And as we end week 5, which is amazing to me that we're a sixth of the way through the year, because two 15-week semesters, fall break is coming up. There's still a lot of things happening for students, faculty, and staff, so we'll just take a look at what's been going on campus. This last Saturday was LUCE Fest, where we had alumni and parents. I think we had about 500 people registered, and I think about that many showed up. It was a great day. We had live music from a band of some of our faculty. We had interactive fun with the chemistry department. We had a home run derby, as well as a home match for a couple of our athletic programs, including women's volleyball, who had 2 wins. Men's soccer, 2 wins. Women's soccer, 2 wins. There's a pattern here. We're sweeping the competition in terms of athletics. On Wednesday, September 20th, we celebrated the 7th annual Mass of the Holy Spirit. For those of you that were there, there were about 350 of us over at St. Charles Borromeo in Convocation Hall. Our guest celebrant, Father Ed Shea, really, I thought, did an amazing job with the Mass. It was uplifting. I thought it was a great reflection on the start of the year. Mass of the Holy Spirit is used by many Catholic universities to kind of welcome in the new year and try to really engage in that sense that the Spirit is with us as we reflect on all that we're engaging in on the university life. Another exciting thing that happened in the last couple of weeks, we had our HLC visit. That's the Higher Learning Commission, which is the accrediting body that accredits universities in our region. September 18th and 19th, they visited both the Lewis University campus as well as the St. Augustine campus. We have had Dr. Reyes-Gonzalez on this show before to talk about the merger, but the HLC visit team met with faculty, staff, trustees, students, leadership teams on both campuses, and we received a very positive response. I want to thank everybody in the community who participated and prepared for that event. The next step in this process is November 3rd, when the HLC will have their meeting. They will have many things in front of them, but one of the things in front of them for them to decide will be about this merger. And we believe, we don't know yet, but we believe that they will vote in favor of the merger. And then we'll have a month after November 3rd to legally cement that in writing, and we have all the paperwork prepared for that. But so we expect somewhere around the first week of December that we will finalize the legal merger. We had another great community hour. I want to special thanks to Dr. Christopher Sint, my co-host here. It's really his brainchild, this community hour. He did a lot of work with a lot of people. I mean, there's many yes. people involved in the creation of this, but I want to say that community hour this year, and we have now had 5 of them this year. And one of them was Mass of the Holy Spirit. One of them was yesterday, included among several things. Dr. Jamil Mustafa from the English department did a conversation about his new book called Blaxploitation in Horror Films. I don't know if that's the exact title,
close.
But that's
we've announced it a couple times on the show.
We had there was a nature walk, there was bingo, fun on the green, esports. So lots of stuff that happens during community hour, and we're excited for that.
Yeah, and one thing that I think is really interesting as it develops, and Mass of the Holy Spirit was the first extended community hour, as you said,
right.
Which really was so great and I think that has a lot to do with why there were such great attendance, record attendance at the Mass, as well as the party afterwards, as students and faculty especially had more free time to attend without having to rush off to get to a class or come from a class. And then it's interesting to see how the regular community hours are taking shape. So I forget what it's called. The thing that the grass thing, the thing we do on the
fun on the
fun
grass
on the
or
grass,
something, I think.
is basically our rec department just puts equipment outside and people can come and frisbees and balls and other
that's great.
fun stuff that you can do outside. And so that's been really taking shape, and hopefully people take advantage of it while the weather's still great. And then esports is a regular popular thing during community hour now, and as well as mass, which we've always had 12 to 1 on Wednesdays, but it aligns perfectly with community hour, in addition to things that are kind of organic. So yesterday we had a faculty-led just discussion group, and they just pick a topic, and people come grab their lunch and come and just talk about and they announce what the topic is, and so that's just something, people being creative with the time.
Yeah, it's great. And I guess I want to use this. I think we've done this with the digital signage. We've done it in the weekly update from student life about having a community hour. But I think there's probably still some students and probably some employees who don't even know there's a community hour. Because if you don't teach or have a class from 12 to 1, it really hasn't changed your schedule. What they should know is what you just said, which is because we don't have any classes, there are lots more opportunities between 12 and 1 every Wednesday to take part in things that will enrich your life, whether it's, having fun outside with your friends, playing Frisbee, or engaging in a conversation with your colleagues, or going to Mass. All those things are possible, and I think it's just a great addition to LUCE University. Just want to remind people that there is still time to buy tickets for Signum Fidei, which is going to be at the House of Blues on October 21st. It's going to support the Mission Fund, and it is in honor of Mary DeGraw. I just want to remind people, both of the Mission Fund and of Mary DeGraw, the Mission Fund is our fund that allows us to help the most vulnerable students on campus. Almost always this fund goes to students who have something relatively traumatic, usually financially traumatic in their lives, usually when they're juniors or seniors. Not that a first year or sophomore couldn't apply, but it's used to say, man, you're 3.5 years through and both your parents lost their jobs, or some major event happened in your life and you had it all figured out how you're going to pay for it, and now you don't know how to pay for it because this traumatic thing has happened. We raise about $300,000 a year at this event, and all that money goes directly into students. And again, Mary DeGraw, the reason we're honoring her is because of her retirement, but also because she worked with a group of people, but she was the lead person that would take in a faculty member or a coach might reach out to Mary and say, this student is really struggling, this happened in their life. So it is a really great thing. Being at the House of Blues is just it'll be a fun night of dancing and music, but also of telling the story about LUCE University and how people's generous donations impact the lives of our students, who then go on to do amazing things in the world. So, Chris, I know you have a whole announcement about all the other accomplishments, many accomplishments that have happened over the last couple of weeks since we've been on the show.
All kinds of great other stuff happening in addition to that. Congratulations to Dr. Jennifer Buss, Associate Professor of Education, who has been nominated to serve another term as President of Catholic Higher Education Supporting Catholic Schools, which is the name of an organization that is a national network of Catholic colleges and universities with professional education departments, schools, divisions, and centers with the mission to enhance P through 12 Catholic schools. The acronym for this organization is CHESCS. It brings together resources and influence of Catholic institutions of higher education to partner with and strengthen P through 12 Catholic schooling through research, teaching, and leadership programs, professional development, and advocacy. So congratulations to her. Congratulations to Dr. Kimberly Duras, Associate Professor of Psychology, who had a research article published in the September edition of the Journal for Counseling in Illinois. Title of that was a comparison of the perceived level of effectiveness of clinical supervision practices and strategies. Dr. Duras also was accepted as a social emphasis grant application committee member for the Schultz Grant Foundation for advancing the counseling profession. Congratulations to Dr. Larry Hill, professor of economics, who presented a presentation called Why Do Small Colleges Fail? A comparison of 28 Illinois small colleges on September 22nd at the Illinois Economics Association 52nd annual meeting, which was held at DePaul University. LUCE was really pleased to participate in a recent visit to Lockport by U.S. Congresswoman Lauren Underwood and her staff, focusing on looking deeper into the historical context of current social and economic challenges in the Joliet area. During a meeting on September 6th, held at the Gaylord Building in Lockport, Representative Underwood and other attendees toured and engaged in discussions about the exhibit called Reclaiming the Narrative, Restoring Black Voices to the Story of Joliet, which we've talked about here a few times. Leading that information session were Dr. Demis Kremen, director of LUCE's History Center and history professor, along with LUCE student Morgan Jennings. Reclaiming the Narrative is an ambitious project that focuses on regional historical collections aiming to amplify the voices of historically marginalized communities. It's theater season again. We're really pleased to announce the Philip Lynch Theater season is getting underway with the production of The Little Prince, adapted for the stage by Rick Cummins and John Schooler. There'll be performances October 13th through 15th and 19th through 22nd. The play is recommended for all ages. Production, if you're not familiar with it, is based on the book by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, which tells the story of a world-weary and disenchanted aviator whose plane strands him in the Sahara Desert and where he meets a mysterious figure, also known as the Little Prince.
Yeah, we hope that it's so appropriate for an aviation school, but not that we want any of our students to get caught in the Sahara.
Not the sputtering part.
But I think that, I also wanted to say before I get into some of the other events that are going on in the coming week, that today is Brother Phil Johnson's birthday. So we want to wish Brother Phil a very, very happy birthday. Brother Phil is such a, iconic person on campus, just warm and inviting, but also, helping students improve their writing, but helping out with retreats and all sorts of other things. A few things going on. September 28th, and you'll see this up on the screen, the Department of Ed is hosting their 20th anniversary. That is an exciting event. The Alumni Career Panel. Also today on how to use an English degree in terms of as a professional and a life thing. September 29th, the Asian American Association has their Mid-Autumn Festival. Also on the 29th, the BSU is having a cookout. That's in the backyard from 5:30 to 9, so check that out tomorrow. September 30th from 1 to 4, men's and women's swimming hosts Quincy. And then October 1st on Sunday, we have Mass, 7 o'clock in the evening. We also have the Blessing of the Pets. That's taking place on October 3rd from 4 to 4:30. That'll be great. And I don't know, I assume the jet is going to be blessed. Do we think
I do
that?
not know that. That's a great question.
That's the university's pet, so to speak. We have a new, mascot, not mascot, but dog that works with our police officers, and Officer Lyle is his handler, and that's been really great for us. And again, we've already talked about it, but 12 to 1 next week on Wednesday is community hour. A few things in terms of travel off campus for the sports teams. Men's and women's soccer will be traveling to McKendree and the University of Missouri St. Louis this weekend. Women's volleyball travels for 2 matches up at William Jewell and Rockhurst. And on Monday and Tuesday, LUCE hosts the Flyer Intercollegiate Invite at Cog Hill. Those of you that don't know Cog Hill, that is golf for us. Golf over at Cog Hill, which is a gorgeous course and their home course for LUCE. So, Chris, we are really fortunate today to bring back And I think many people who know me and know this show, I have lots of favorite topics, but this is near and dear to my heart because I spent years working on study abroad. But you're going to introduce our guests, and we have a really great topic to discuss.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to the discussion. Two things before I do that. One is that, just to clarify, the blessing of the pets is an invitation for all the members of the LUCE community. It's actually something we're have been doing for a couple years to bring their pets to Sancta Alberta, and they have an opportunity for your pets to be blessed. So
and they can bring any pet, right? It doesn't have to be a dog or a cat. They could bring.
Absolutely.
You have chinchillas?
I do.
Okay,
yes,
so
I'm not bringing
there
my
are
chinchilla.
Lots of possible pets, so I just wanted to point that out. We'll get into this traditional.
Some are easier or harder to bring
exactly.
to Sancta Alberta for sure, but yeah, that invitation is out there. And then the second thing is to remember to, if you have a question for us or our guests during the show, please use the Ask Us at luceu.edu there on the screen, and we'll get the question asked during the show. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube after it's been posted, you can still use that question, and we'll get the question out via email. So I'm really excited to welcome 3 guests, and I'm going to introduce all 3 of them at the same time, and then we'll start talking. Chris Swanson, the Director of Study Abroad, has been involved in international education for over 25 years. In addition to directing the Rome program, he also coordinates all study abroad and travel study programs for LUCE. Ellen Thursby is an associate professor of social work at LUCE University. She will be the residential director in the Rome program. She's worked as a clinical social worker with children and adolescents and their families. She studied economics in London as an undergraduate, which was a transformational experience that she wants LUCE students to have as well. And Scott Kerth joined LUCE in 2015 and is an associate professor in the organizational leadership department. He is the academic director of the Rome program. Before LUCE, he worked in healthcare at Northwestern Memorial Hospital and lived in Europe and Asia for 15 plus years, working in technology, startups, and venture capital. So welcome, everyone.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us today. We're really glad you're here.
It's a pleasure.
And I do want to just, I want to go back to what you said about the Ask Us and watching this later. I've been thinking about this. I don't want people to look at their phone when they're driving, but they can just put it on YouTube and act as if it was a podcast and listen to this show.
Don't you already do that? I do
that
all the time.
I have done that. When you've done it without me, I've done that. So I just want to point that out. But we're grateful to every guest because this is a great show, and not everybody. Somebody's teaching. Somebody's has class right now. They can't necessarily be here at the show. We want them to come back and listen to our great guests in the future.
I just want to clarify something before I ask Chris to maybe give us a little context about the program. I felt your body language when I was introducing your titles, so I might have gotten that wrong. The two faculty members here.
Is that true?
Oh, no,
so that's correct. And is academic? Is that
well,
right?
we have different titles, but we're essentially everything's split between us.
Yeah, so
we're doing
it's
everything.
really something you do together.
It's a co-directors.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so just
even though we've kind of given a little bit.
We'll talk about the transition, which I know has been really careful and slow and long. But essentially this is your first year as directors of the Rome program.
Correct.
So welcome.
Great.
And we look forward to hearing about that. So Chris, you are the seasoned expert.
The through line through the program.
The historical memory.
Right.
So could maybe just tell us what the Rome program is, and I think we have some visuals about that.
Okay. So the Rome program at LUCE is a fantastic faculty-led semester-length program. It's run by these 2 faculty here. They will be with the students for all 12 weeks that the group is actually in Rome. The program itself is actually during the spring semester. Students have the chance to actually take 5 or 6 different general education requirements and knock those out of the way while they're actually on site there. They use Rome as their classroom, so they're not just in class all the time. They're also going to these different sites that are relevant to the classes themselves and actually learning about those places. So it's kind of more place-based learning. You're not just looking at maybe PowerPoint slide or a picture of something, you're actually, let's say, for example, learning about the Coliseum. You're not just seeing a picture of it, you're actually walking around inside the Coliseum and learning about it. So the students actually live, and actually the program is based at the Generalate, or also called Casa La Salle, which is the headquarters of the LaSalle Christian Brothers. So it's very much a mission-related program as well. For the program, our students actually, all different majors can actually go on the program. And this is one of our few programs where a first-year student can actually go on the program as well. So the potential of going from Romeoville in the fall to Rome in the spring is a reality. And actually, those are pictures of Casa La Salle right there. So yeah, the students actually have a chance to go, and they will be taken on excursions with the program as well. They get a chance to go up to Florence. And this year, we're looking at the possibility of going to Barcelona to visit one of our LaSallian partners, University of La Salle, Barcelona, to get a chance to have another perspective on the global LaSallian network as well. So the students also get a local transportation pass, because they will be going around Rome and seeing many different things. So we give them a transportation pass and also a meal plan as well. So they get 2 meals a day every day that they're there.
So can you just give me a sense of, so that's a great description of the kind of program. Can you give me, any of the three of you, a sense of who has been doing it in the past? So like, how many students normally are there?
Sure.
Is there a cap? Is there a mixture between first-year students, seniors? You said they're different majors, so we don't need to go through every major, but just a sense of, if I'm a student and I'm thinking about it, who might I be there with? And how many people will I be there with? That kind of thing.
Sure. So the groups of students, it's primarily LUCE students, but we do also have students from other LaSallian universities. So in the past, we've had students from St. Mary's University, Minnesota. We've also had students from Manhattan College. We've also had students from some of the international LaSallian universities as well. So we've had students from the Philippines and Mexico as well.
Nice.
So the program has actually been running since 2018. We had to take a hiatus in 2021 and cut the program a little bit short in 2020 for obvious reasons, but we were back in 2022. And it's been led by various professors from LUCE. So we've had Dominic Colonna actually lead the program. Also Dr. Dennis Kremen and Dr. Joanne Kuttner have also led the program as well. And we've also had professors from other universities as well. So Manhattan College has actually had professors there as well.
And how many students were in the program last year?
We had 22 students.
Okay,
So 19 LUCE students and 3 Manhattan College students. And of those 19 students, we had 5 first-year students, and then the rest were second-year, third-year, fourth-year students
Excellent.
from a variety of majors.
And so they take these five or six classes basically together, I presume, as a group.
Correct. Yep.
And then we were looking at some footage of the consulate. The classrooms and the living places are right there on that site that we were seeing.
Right.
So and the meals.
Right. Yeah, they get their own room. The students get their own room, their own bathroom. Yeah,
They have
classes are right
Wi-Fi?
downstairs. They have Wi-Fi. That's always a work in progress.
We have
I just wanted to make
everyone-
sure.
everyone sitting on
it
this-
could be challenging. 'cause
everyone sitting on this couch
I've
has
stayed
stayed
in
there,
Block
so
OC,
that's
and
a
I
joke.
know that there can be challenges,
That's
but they
always-
do.
There's always
they
room
do
for
have it.
improvement, and we are definitely working on that one. That's
Yeah. Yeah,
a yearly project for me.
that's great.
So maybe, Ellen and Scott, maybe just talk a little bit about, let me just ask you about what you're teaching, just as an example of what's happening this year. So what are you teaching this spring?
I'm going to be teaching a diversity class and a social welfare class. So
Nice.
Rome is good for that too. We've identified some social service agencies that will be going out to visit. There's St. Paul's inside the wall that is a refugee immigrant center.
Great.
So we're excited about it.
That's awesome. And Scott?
Yeah, I'm going to be teaching a macroeconomics class and an international business class. And one of the exciting things about going with Ellen, I actually met Ellen before she came to LUCE, in a sense that I was on her hiring committee. And Ellen's undergrad was in economics, as mine was. So we have been talking about how we can kind of leverage our classes together, because we're looking at the economics of social work, the economics of migration, and the impact there. So having Ellen there is going to be something really kind of fun for both of us to kind of see how we can leverage our classes and our interests.
So I want to just point out a couple things. We did get a question coming in, so I'm going to couch that question inside of a larger set of issues. So we're talking about 5 to 6 classes. That is what any student could normally take, meaning they can take up to 18 credits if they're a full-time student for the same tuition as our block tuition allows them to do. And then on one of the slides it said, basically for, how do we put it?
LUCE tuition.
Only LUCE tuition. And I often say this at welcome days. You already mentioned it, Chris. Rome or Romeoville for about the same price. And I wanted you to just talk about the about part. So meaning it is tuition, but there is a fee. And maybe you could talk a little bit about that. Sure. And what it is, like if a family were thinking about doing this because they have their financial aid, but about how much more does a family spend, a student spend, in order to go to Rome than what they would in Romeoville? Just so people have a sense of that, because there is an extra cost, but you get to spend 12 weeks in Rome, so and go to Florence and potentially go to Barcelona. So it's there's a benefit to this.
So all of those things that I mentioned in terms of the classes, the getting your own room, your own bathroom, the meal plan, the transportation pass, the excursions, all those things. Actually, the cost for that is just LUCE tuition. So all their financial aid, so all their grants, loans, scholarships that they would get to go to LUCE normally, actually applies to the program. Oftentimes when I'll go in and do class presentations, students will think, oh, especially if they're living in the residence halls, they'll think, oh, okay, so it's tuition, room, and board. No, it's just LUCE tuition for all those things. Yes, there's definitely, there is a fee. There's an, so big ticket items that students have to consider and families have to consider is airfare. Yeah. And one of the things that we do is we actually do a group flight for all the students. It's going to be $1175 this year. I've already booked the tickets, the reservations for it. The advantage though is actually we can put that onto their student account as like a program fee. So basically like a big lab fee. And that way, if they are getting extra financial aid to or if they want to do a payment plan or something along those lines, they can actually use that towards that program charge. Yeah. Now, students actually have 3-day weekends while they're there. The classes are Monday through Thursday. And the students also get spring break. So they travel. And then also there's extra meals and things like that they have to consider. So on top of that, I think they should budget, I would say probably $2,500 to $3,000 just as incidental costs as well.
That might be different than if they're living at home with their parents and they're eating meals at home. Putting that in their head feels like it's a good number to kind of have people, and I'm hearing you say then it's $3,000 to $4,000 over and above what they might normally pay to go, and everybody pays a different price based on their scholarships and all sorts of other things, but meaning the cost of the flight and then this extra living expense fee structure. It's in
any kind of extra
range.
travel and those types of things that they do. And our students during spring break will travel to all sorts of different places.
Yeah, it's a beautiful launching off point. I mean, if you're in Rome, one, it's a very active airport, but there's also, it's a train hub, so you can get to much of Europe on a train from Rome.
That's actually what the next, we got another question that came in that kind of related to that, which is, and really all three of you could talk about this because the two of you were there in last spring, teaching and getting a sense of the place. Talk a little bit more about the rhythm of the day and the week. So there's a day where you might be, in this consulate is what, three
or four stops away
from the Vatican and 5 stops from downtown or 6 stops from downtown Rome. So you can get away in the evening or what have you. And then also what Chris, you were just saying is, are there 3-day weekends where you can go further out on a train or something like that.
Yeah, and when I was there for about a month last year, and Ellen, you were there, you went over at the beginning, but it really is using Rome as a classroom, because you're going in every week, not every day. You might go in sometimes twice a week, but you're going on usually an excursion to see something in Rome.
In an organized way.
In an organized way, yeah. You're going with the professors. And Ellen and I talked about the 2 classes that we're, she's offering to and I'm offering to, but I think there's a total of 8 or 10 that you can choose from. Art classes, history classes, religion classes, and we leverage the different sites in Rome. So, Ellen talked about some visits that she was planning. I think you were planning a day visit down to Naples, taking the students there to see the refugee camp. I'm trying to set up, the UN has 3 organizations that are headquartered out of Rome. I'm trying to set up some meetings with the UN agencies, I think agriculture, some food. So we're really going around and seeing not just the classroom, but Rome. And then the cost, you have some students that they're taking off on after class ends on Thursday, and then they're coming back on Sunday night. And you could just travel around Italy, or we've had students that have gone to Amsterdam, we've had students that have gone to Paris. Some went to Barcelona.
Morocco.
Where?
Morocco.
Morocco, yeah. And they have the discount airlines where it's like $50 for a flight, and
Right.
So can we talk a little bit? I know all of you, I think all 5 of us have studied abroad or led study abroad. So all of us can, but for students as well as for potential parents, because a student might say, well, would you watch this show? I'm here, you're in Indiana, would you watch the show? I'd like to hear anybody talk about what I consider, because I have led study abroad before, and I went as a student when I was 20, about this transformation, because going to Morocco can sound really overwhelming to a student and a parent when they're just hearing it right now. So I'd like to hear about, because I've experienced watching this with students and myself, the transformation that happens from like week 1, when you give them that pass, and they're like, this is in Italian, I can't get on a bus, I can't get on a train, I can't do anything, it's in a totally. And then by the time we're in week like 9 or 10 out of 12, and I just would love to hear people talk about, because I think people don't appreciate how much you can change in 3 months. But when you're in this kind of environment, they're transformed.
I agree.
Yeah,
If you
I
want to
think-
talk about it, I can talk about it all day. So.
Maybe I'll start.
Yeah.
It's amazing, because I was there the first week of the semester, and there were some students who had never really left this area. I think one that had never been on an airplane. So it takes a lot of bravery to go over there, and then she would talk a little bit about feeling kind of guilty leaving her family, and by the end she was a traveler. She was confident. She was a freshman, so watching her mature in that way was amazing. I've seen her a couple times on campus, and she's a different person. She has a worldview that you wouldn't be able to get staying in Romeoville. I feel a little bit like the costs are MasterCard moment, right? The experience is priceless, it's a great opportunity.
And building on what Ellen said, it's really an investment, because people say, well, why go study abroad? And I go, the primary reason you go abroad is not for the academics. You'll get great academics there, you get great academics here. But it distinguishes yourself when you're looking for the job. It distinguishes yourself in your career, because you now have a story to tell that is different than most other people. The self-reliance and the self-confidence you get over there is something you're not going to get here. You're going to have a broader worldview. You're going to be able to deal with uncertainty. You're going to be able to engage with people that you hadn't thought about how to do so in a way. And there's been studies that said 85% of students that go study abroad put it on their resume. 75% of students talk about it in job interviews. 25% of companies are actually looking for students with that experience, because you have so much more self-confidence. You can deal with the shades of gray. Your decision making is improved, because you have to decide, do I use this bus pass or that bus pass, or how do I get, and you don't think, how does that translate to your career? But it does, and you can take those stories in the interviews And when you're dealing with people in this globalified world nowadays, and it's going to distinguish you.
Could I just take what you just said, and ask any of you to expand on it a little bit in a different way? And I don't mean to ask a leading question, but
Lead
maybe,
us on.
but I will. Do you agree that it's also, in addition to all of those great skills that you just described, Scott, also about understanding difference and people from other cultures, and
Definitely.
how that translates into, I'm thinking especially of the workforce, like employers recognizing that. And I don't know if you have thoughts about that or have seen that.
I think 100% that is true. Like sometimes when you're swimming in your worldview, you don't even recognize that you have a worldview, and then you go someplace else and you start to recognize, like, oh, these are my values and they differ from this person, or they're the same as this person, or we share this humanity, and it just widens your sense of self. And in addition to those concrete skills, like you get a comfort level being with difference and appreciating it,
You learn how to engage with people from a different point of view, and
Right.
you actually become a more creative person because you're exposed to differences, and creativity happens on the the edges of where different thought worlds meet, and your thought world will be changed from going and living abroad. So your creativity will be enhanced by this
Right.
experience.
And employers recognize this.
And even if they
that's
don't-
the reason why people are putting it on their resumes is
Exactly.
because
Right.
yeah,
And this gives you a way to talk about it. You can bring
Yeah.
it in. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's that,
I
that
think-
ability to communicate with different cultures, with different people from different backgrounds, and just being able to deal with ambiguity.
Yeah.
The schedules will change from day to day, and students learn a lot about, yes, they learn about Italy, but they learn a lot about themselves, to echo what Ellen and Scott were talking about, is that they learn a lot about themselves, but they also learn a lot about the U.S. They learn a lot, being able to look at that, at the U.S. from
Yeah.
outside of what they normally see, and having people with different perspectives about the U.S. as well, they learn a lot about this country too.
Yeah, I think it also widens what they're open to doing. If you have a sense of confidence of your ability to navigate other cultures, you might look for different opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think it helps you become more appreciative and grateful, because it will be a great time, but you will come back with some things and say, man, I am grateful, but for this and that, and I can appreciate this. It really is. As I've been telling in the presentations I'm making, it is a life, not for everybody, but for some, it will be a life-changing experience, and for everybody, it will be something they truly will always remember.
Yeah.
And there's been different studies that different university systems have done, and different program providers, about both the medium-term and long-term effects of study abroad. And just medium-term effects, GPA tends to be higher for returning study abroad students. And when they graduate, they tend to get hired twice as fast, and their salaries tend to be about 25% higher than somebody who didn't study abroad.
And for parents who are worried it could delay, it increases the likelihood of graduating within 4 degrees between 6 and 12%
Yeah.
for students.
And those students tend to be lifelong learners when they come back as well.
So,
yeah, we have a
do you want
couple-
to do the questions? We got a couple questions coming in.
Yeah, and
So
they're
let's
less
do a quick
philosophical
one.
than
We'll do
the
a quick
ones.
one because I have a question that I want to ask at the end that is just a little more fun for me. But
Okay.
let's start with really concrete. What
all
does
right,
what does
so-
the room
oh.
look like?
Yeah,
for a
what's like,
student?
and the
Oh,
main
it's a
thing that
hotel
all
room.
By you, no, but I mean,
the only question, the
are
main
you by
thing
yourself or do you have a roommate?
yeah, that's the key question.
You do not have a roommate. You have
You're
your
by
own
yourself.
room.
Perfect.
You
So
have your
single,
own-
that's important to
And
me.
you have your own bathroom.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Bathroom and
Bathroom has
shower.
a shower, hair dryer, sink, toilet,
Bidet.
Great.
and a bidet. Yes.
All right.
And
Laundry
then
in the building.
laundry is in the building. Up on the top floor, there's 2 washing machines, and there's also laundromats in the area as well. So,
And you'll learn how to air dry your clothes.
yes.
Yeah, that's a
no
that's a
dryers.
cultural
That's-
difference
that's a
that
cultural
we
difference
were
right
just
there.
talking about.
Yeah.
And then what's the other one? What about Italian? And is it?
Do I have to know Italian?
How does the program navigate language, helping
Sure.
people get by, and also talk a little bit about what it's like to be a primarily English speaker in Italy.
Well, we do offer the kids, what is it, a 1 week Italian
It's a
just
1
ciao,
credit, yeah.
buongiorno, and a 1 credit introduction to the Italian language. And it is a little bit uncomfortable when you go to, I've been to over 60 countries, and I've lived in 8 different countries throughout my life. So there always is some uncertainty, but you can get by, by facial gestures, hand gestures, finding somebody that understands some bit of English. That really isn't a problem.
And I just want to point out that this is an amazing
Yes, it
device.
is.
In
Yes.
Google Translate,
Yeah.
it's not what I would recommend, but to your point, if you're, I mean, you used to, all of us, when we did our study abroad, you had to like do hand gestures.
Yeah.
Right.
Now
Yeah.
you can literally like talk into your smartphone.
Or I had a huge dictionary.
Yeah,
so you just have my little
dictionary
pocket
that
dictionary
you're
everywhere.
carrying
Exactly.
around.
Yes.
So I just think things have changed. So I mean, I don't want to underestimate the fear that language brings, because it is
Yeah.
a little overwhelming. At the same time, the sophistication of our ability to get a few words and learn those in
Yeah,
the
and,
moment
you
is
know,
really
and
different.
Every place is different, as you know, as you just said. But Rome is the type of city where you can explore that challenges of another language, but also be very safe and have.
Yep.
You know, it's a
Definitely
very internationally
Yeah.
tourist-friendly
Yeah.
place where English is common on
And-
signs and.
And where the students
Yeah.
live, actually, where Casa La Sala is as well, it's a very, very safe environment. It's
It
a
is.
walled compound,
Yeah.
Yeah.
security gate for people to get into, and they have to go past the front hotel desk there. So, in terms of a safe environment to go out and explore Italy and Rome, it's a fantastic location.
We're living with brothers and nuns.
I
mean,
know,
how can you
I
get
know.
safer?
One more thing before
Okay,
you
and
do
then I'm
that.
going to do my final question, and then we're going to
Chris,
have to wrap it up. Go ahead.
When's the application deadline?
The application deadline is November 1st
Next.
for the Rome program.
All right.
November 1st.
Yep.
There it is.
And there is a limit,
And
so get your application
there's a link,
in early.
and actually, if they want to scan
Yeah,
that QR
and-
code, it goes directly. It goes to a couple of different places actually. One goes to the Study Abroad website. One goes directly to the Rome program. But then there's also access to my Calendly account. So if they want to have a more in-depth conversation with me and want to ask more questions about the program, they can actually schedule an appointment with me, and I'd be happy to talk with them either in person or by Zoom.
That's great. And
Yeah.
and that's a reminder that you are the director of Study Abroad, and if you're interested in travel, study at all while being at
Right.
LUCE,
There are other
Yeah, myself.
opportunities
set up a
besides
meeting and
just
learn
Rome.
about other
Right.
opportunities.
Yeah. All right, so Jesuit Volunteer Corps used to have this saying, ruined for life. So when I go to Italy, every time I come back and my palate is ruined for Italian food in the U.S. So I just would love to hear some conversation about just how wonderful the food is and gelato. To end on a positive.
That's a leading
upbeat note.
question.
Yes. If you ever want to have see Italians get into a big debate, argument is where's the best gelato place, and then just any kind of discussion about food.
Exactly.
Just sitting down with my Italian friends and having a discussion about the freshness of the pecorino that they just ate.
Yeah.
They love their food.
And I'm not, I want to make sure also I say, and this is not to in any way undermine, the food at the Generalate is fine, but you
Yep.
have to go out into the community
Yeah.
to some of these small little dive places and have
Yes.
their sauce and have their cheese and their pasta that's homemade. Because it really does change your sense of going to an Italian restaurant in the United States.
Well, we live right across the street from that little market, that outdoor
Yeah.
market.
Right,
And,
right.
you can go there, and it's a main course is like €6 or €7,
Yeah.
and it's just, I went there half a dozen times, and then there's that coffee shop by the metro station with.
And there's a gelato
And there's like
shop.
Yeah.
three
Yeah.
gelato,
Gelato
places
places.
within
Yeah.
a 5-minute walk.
Yeah.
So, which
You have to do a lot of walking to keep,
You do to keep the gelato off your waistline. You do, for sure. All right, so thank you, Chris, for co-hosting with me. I just want to thank our three guests again. Just really a fun conversation.
Yeah. As
It's
always,
a-
we could talk for.
we could talk
Oh, yeah.
another
Hour.
hour, but we have to limit our time. We try to stay in the 45-minute range, and we got about 30 seconds, so I'm going to try to wrap it up. So again, I just want to thank you for being here with us today. We have so many great topics to talk about. The university is rich with experiences. This is one of the really transformational ones. Again, another birthday wish to Brother Phil. Another reminder about Signum Fidei that you can still get your tickets, and that next week with fall break, we have to, we're not going to be here. But I just want to, wish all of you just the best week to come and many blessings to you and your family.